There you go. Hey guys, welcome back to Tactical Review. It's been a few weeks, I apologize. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that here through the fall season, my personal and extracurricular and my kids' extracurricular schedules are so busy. We may get a little sporadic. When I have a day like today that I have an opportunity to record several videos, I'm going to try to do so that I can edit them and release them on a more regular basis. I apologize though, there will be some delays and gaps, and unless I come back and tell you that something crazy happened, don't assume anything crazy happened. Anyway, today I'm super excited because we are finally going to be shooting the body armor video that I've been promising for something like 6 months. So what we have here, I'm going to go through and explain my setup a little bit before I get it fully set up. So I have a ballistic nylon pouch from Home Depot that I have containing a 6x6 piece of level 3A tactical Scorpion gear soft body armor. Now, we've got a few things going on here. One, I don't have an plate carrier. I don't have a full-size like shooter's panel, front panel. I should have, but again, right now I'm still funding the channel entirely, and the kids want to do crazy things like eat. So I went for a $30 side panel versus the full front panel. So what we're going to do here, and again, the whole point, and I mentioned this months ago, my point with this was, until Congress makes it illegal, we may or may not talk about that later, if somebody were to come into your home or you were to be out someplace and a bad guy decided to do bad things and was going to be wearing body armor, odds are it's either going to be old like police armor, maybe they've picked up a flak vest, and as the fella down in Texas found out here a couple months back, a flak vest is not meant to be ballistic panels. Anyway, or they're going to go probably some low price stuff like this tactical Scorpion gear. Now, since purchasing this, I've actually watched a few body armor videos on Mr. Guns and Gear. If somehow you've subscribed to my channel but not to Mike's, go ahead and do that after watching this video, because he's got a great channel, he's got a lot more experience, and then follow him on Facebook because he's always posting deals that he finds. Anyway, tactical Scorpion gear is actually made down in, I believe it's North Carolina, and he seemed very happy with it. So I'm not posting this saying that it's garbage, not at all. And I'd mentioned this is a level 3A piece of armor in here. That is not NIJ rated. It's my understanding that NIJ rating costs tens of thousands of dollars per panel that they're testing. So what Tactical Scorpion gear does is their own in-house testing. They test to the NIJ standards, and then it's probably more correct to say that this is an NIJ level 3A compliant panel. Now you might be asking, what's up with the duct tape? Well, everybody knows that every strip of duct tape increases your armor capacity by, I think it's a factor of 4. Wait, no, that's not right. I wonder if I have any liability if anybody goes and decides to try to use duct tape as body armor now. Okay, scratch all of that. Duct tape does nothing as far as armor. Okay, that was a joke. Now what we've got here is, again, this is a side panel. It's made to go in kind of the girdle or the side skirt piece of your plate carrier, and it's meant to protect your ribs and your vitals from side entries, especially if if you're blading at an opponent, that you're going to be exposing this as opposed to the full front panel. So that's what these are made for. Again, I purchased this for cost consideration. So what I've done, the reason I've got it taped up into this piece of cardboard is just to give a little bit more rigidity. We're going to be transferring a lot of energy into this panel. And so my hope is, because if you had on a full plate carrier, there's going to be some reinforcing going on by your body, by the plate carrier, by your side panels and all of that, that we simply don't have. So I'm hoping that we get a little bit of rigidity out of this. It may not work at all. And I do have some clay blocks. I want to thank the art teacher at school for allowing me to use her unfired kiln clay so that I can measure backface deformation. And the reason for that is that according to the FBI standards, as I understand them, if you have, it doesn't matter if the panel stops the bullet, if you then have greater than or equal to 2 inches of backface deformation. And the reason why, you got to think that, now our bodies, this is kind of cool, you may not have realized this, but our bodies have some natural give to them. All right, yeah, you see that? You see that? Okay, let's quit looking at Blair's flabby arms. So now less so up here where, you know, center mass where we're going to typically be protecting. So if you'll stop and consider, you know, if you have an inch of backface give on your armor panel, probably you're going to have some broken bones, some very serious bruising, but I can see you're probably going to survive that. Once you get beyond 2 inches, especially here at your sternum, because keep in mind that though your armor panel is going to spread out that impact, it's still, if you consider a 9mm, don't mind the background noise, if you consider that a 9mm usually only expands to about 0.6 inches, you're still putting all of that energy into a spot about that big around. So if you're deforming a spot that size 2 inches, it's going to break bones and probably drive those bones into vital organs beyond. So anyway, just a little bit of a preface and primer, letting you know what my testing methodology is. If any of that can be called testing or methodology, I was going to call this backyard ghetto science, but to be very honest, guys and gals, this is not my backyard. I wish it was. I'm several hundred miles from the nearest ghetto, and I'm not sure that we can call anything that I'm about to film science. Anyway, I'm glad you're here with me. I'm going to finish getting this set up, and we're going to start making some noise and see how it looks. All right, for my first shot, I'm going to be shooting a round of 124 grain Spear Gold Dot plus P. This is my normal carry, and it's what a lot of you probably carry as well. A lot of law enforcement agencies carry Spear Gold Dot. This is rated to have a muzzle velocity of 1,220 feet per second and a muzzle energy of 410 foot-pounds. So again, I don't believe that this will go through that panel. That panel is rated for, I believe it's up to 44 Magnum, which carries a lot more energy than this Gold Dot. So again, I don't anticipate getting penetration off of this. What I'm interested in is the amount of backface deformation. Because keep in mind that as a self-defender, your job is not necessarily to terminate the individual. Your job is to terminate the threat on you, on your family, on the other person that you're trying to help defend. That doesn't necessarily mean dead. I guarantee you somebody has a smashed sternum, they're going to be considering maybe a little bit more whether or not they want to continue doing what they're doing. I could be wrong. There's a reason we shoot center mass, because a dead threat is a stopped threat. We're not going to get into all of that. I've got a different video talking about moral considerations of lethal force. Anyway, let's see if I can manage to put this in that 6x6 square. I'm not the best shot you're ever going to meet. I'm going to be shooting from up here at around 5 yards. I have many reasons for that. One, I'm not the best shot in the world. Two, I seem to recall from my handgun carry class when I lived in Tennessee that the typical self-defense engagement, i.e. gunfight, occurs between 1 and 10 yards. The extreme outside that we even practice for in a handgun carry class was 25 yards, and your vast majority of encounters, in fact, I've seen a lot of publications that say it's the rule of 3 and 3. The average gunfight it occurs within 3 feet and it's over in 3 seconds. So I'm looking at 5 yards as kind of a good median distance. We're back far enough to kind of simulate you have a moment to perceive the threat. We're close enough to maybe be giving this gold dot a little bit of a chance at overcoming this body armor. So let's just see what we see. How about we put ears on? I may have shanked that. Let's head up and see what we've got. All right. Well, I actually did hit the panel. I was a little low and left. I'm a little ashamed to say that I've not been getting to the range the way I wanted to. That said, with where I hit that, we actually had a through and through on that. And I can see back here in the backstop, actually the bullet's back there, hang on. There are Kevlar fibers all the way through that, or what claim to be Kevlar fibers. It may in fact, I don't know, if you look, the round began mushrooming, but did not expand the way it should have. It should have expanded on the outside of that panel and expend all of its energy. So I'm going to hit it with another one. I'm going to try to get it up in the middle a little bit more. You'd think that from 5 yards I could do that. And this may just be one of those things that don't trust your life to eBay body armor, because maybe it's not really body armor. Anyway, well, that's the first time I've recovered a hollow point. That's pretty snazzy. There's also a really nifty little crease in the top of the table, which would probably be a little bit more nifty if that wasn't the table that I use in my home office / studio. I may not have planned this one out very well. All right, 124 grain spear gold dot, take 2. Well, I can definitely see a hole in the middle of that ballistic nylon pouch. Let's go take a look at it. All right, I got a better shot on it here. I definitely feel where that panel is wadded up inside of there. I see another hole in the back of our clay, which, oh. Incorrect, I do not. There is, however, a good bit of backface deformation in this. The Kevlar actually caught our bullet though. All right, hang on, let me get the yardstick. Can't measure backface deformation without a yardstick. All right. So there is our yardstick. We will push that down. Grab a handy dandy straight edge. So what happened with that first shot, evidently, is because I trended so close to the edge of that panel, is it just slipped past the edge. Well, we have 2 to 2 1/16 inch of backface deformation here. So, the panel did stop the bullet. In fact, I've got it caught in the ballistic nylon. But what we don't have, or what we're seeing, is a lot of energy transfer into this clay. And what I'm also seeing is that I'm gonna have to put this into a new bag and apologize to my school's art teacher. All right, well, next we've got some Underwood Extreme Defender Plus P Plus. This is some really hot stuff. It's rated at 1,550 feet per second. Excuse me. And I don't know if that is out of a full-size pistol like the Glock 17, if that's out of a compact pistol like my Glock 19. Regardless, it's some hot stuff. Your pistol may or may not be rated for Plus P Plus, so you might not just want to throw this in whatever 9mm handgun you have laying around. And this is the stuff, if you're not familiar with it, has that really nifty, almost Phillips screwdriver looking bullet in it. This is made by Lehigh Defense. Lehigh does have their own loading of this, as well as several other manufacturers. The most highly recommended that I found is the Underwood ammunition. And we're gonna have to see if this even plays nicely with this Lone Wolf, or Storm Lake conversion barrel that I've got in my Glock. It's allowing me to shoot 9mm. And, well, there's some caveats with this stuff. First, let's see how it does against the ballistic panel. My guess is that compromised ballistic panel isn't going to stop this, but we'll see. Well, I've got to say, it didn't, with that lighter projectile, again, that's a 90 grain projectile instead of the 124 grain. It's moving about 300 feet per second faster. Actually, let me get my handy dandy cheat sheet here. No internet connectivity out here at this wonderful, wonderful location that I'm at, which is great. I don't want the distraction. So the gold dot had a muzzle energy of roughly 1,220 FPS, or muzzle velocity of 1220 FPS, 410 foot-pounds of energy. This Underwood with the 90 grain pill is moving at about 1,550 FPS, and that should deliver a muzzle energy of about 480 foot-pounds. Again, this is out of whatever their test rig was. I sadly don't have a lab radar Doppler kit or even a chrono, so we're gonna have to hope that their testing was good enough. Let's go down here and see what we've got. All right, I may have hit low on that one again. And I have more clay here out the back. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that went, no question, that went right through. Not a doubt in my mind, that round was absolutely fatal in a human being. I'm gonna go around back and see if I can find it. Yeah, that burrowed into the support board on the back. Now again, I hit low and left on that, so I'm gonna hit it one more time and see if I can get that a little bit more up in a less compromised part of that panel. And maybe a less compromised face of this clay. The art teacher's never gonna let me borrow anything again. All right, one more round of Underwood. Looked like a better shot from my position. All right, yep. I hit it a little bit more in the middle of the panel, and I have an exit wound right here. And look at that. Look at that. I have Kevlar fibers drug all over the world. Woo, but that bullet's still warm. So, this is kind of neat. So, this did easily defeat that panel of body armor. Again, I'm only 5 yards away or so. But the cool thing is this concave rear surface of the bullet. Let me see if it'll focus on it. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, you got a blurry picture there. It is actually full of clay, where it pulled clay in as it went through. Now the way that this is supposed to work is that the rifling obviously imparts a spin on the bullet, and then that Phillips screwdriver looking doodad is supposed to create cavitation in the wound. The potential problem with these is overpenetration. So if you've never looked at FBI penetration requirements in their gel block testing, it's a very interesting study. I am by no means an expert. I have spent a few hours looking into it and trying to learn what I can learn. Yeah, it's just, there's so much to it. Ideally, I would have some ballistics gel out here. However, since it is 77 Freedom Heights out today, thank you, Alex Steele, for that term. Regular 10% ballistic gel would be melting, and I don't have the time and money to deal with getting all that set up anyway. Clear ballistics blocks might work better, but there again, money, you know, it's bad enough paying $1.55 a round for this stuff. That's another discussion. But I did look at, I think it was Lucky Gunner. If not, down below here, you're going to see the actual link where I looked up the ballistics gel information from this Extreme Defender. It consistently was seeing 16 to 22 inches of penetration. For FBI standards with 4 layers of denim, they don't want to see any more than 18 inches of penetration. And that's not because a person is 18 inches thick. It's more because by the time you deal with all of the non-jelly parts of our body, 12 to 18 inches of penetration after going through 4 layers of denim pretty well guarantees that you're going to be able to consistently hit the important things inside of a person. Lord have mercy, that was loud. Without going through and hitting people and things you don't want to hit. So the problem with this guy isn't necessarily performed really well against the level 3A panel. On the other hand, so did the Gold Dot, which is considerably more affordable and is easier to come across and is less likely to over-penetrate. Now, there's a whole lot that goes into that, because if somebody's wearing heavy clothes, it's very possible for the hollow point in your Gold Dot to plug up and turn it into ball ammunition. We're not discussing that today. we're not discussing whether or not this is even necessarily a good round to carry. All we were doing is seeing if it would defeat this level 3A panel, and it did. It did very easily, even up towards the middle of it. It just zipped right through. It did not go very far beyond that block of clay. I would have been interested to see what it would have done in a block of gel, because this was just laying right on the table for me to pick up. So yeah, anyway, I've got one more thing I want to do. Let me get the panel tape back up and start thinking about where I'm going to get another clear bag to put that clay back in. That's for me to think about later. Anyway, we're going to get some cameras moved back, and I've got one more thing I want to do. Let's get up here closer. That's a big hole, and I don't know if you can see in there. Whoops, let's get this in the camera. You can actually see, lordy, that is a loud rifle next door. You can see the striations from that that cavitation effect that I was talking about from this Underwood ammunition. That's pretty cool to see. Definitely wouldn't want that inside my person. I'm gonna snap a picture of this too, just to make sure that I can show you in case you couldn't see it in that camera shot. All right, you guys probably remember this little lady from my first video where I did this paint job. It's actually my most popular video to date, and I want to thank you guys for that. So my home defense ammunition in this is the Fiocchi Extrema 125 grain SST. Need my cheat sheet again. Now, Fiocchi rates that ammunition at 220 FPS, carrying 1,343 foot-pounds of energy. Now, Fiocchi has tested that out of a 16-inch barrel, which you will notice that this pistol does not have. I've ran some numbers, and near as I can figure, I should be maintaining 80 to 85% of the 16-inch muzzle velocity out of my 7.5-inch barrel. Now, obviously, I could really use a chrono to verify that, a lab radar Doppler. Maybe one day I'll get a collab going with Military Arms Channel or somebody that has cool stuff like that, or eventually I'll get to the point where I can buy that. Right now, I'm going to have to go with my maths, which tell me that it's like a cartoon. Tell me that I should have 1760 to 1870 FPS. And that 125 grain projectile should be carrying 1,074 to 1,141 foot-pounds of energy. So not necessarily that much faster, but someplace around 3 times the energy. So we're going to send one of those guys down there, and again, level 3A armor is not rated at all for centerfire rifle. I just kind of want to do this. And it's also why I have built something that people would call so excessive as a home defense weapon. Because I don't even have to consider that, and using a hunting load like this, it's a round that's designed to not over-penetrate terribly. So anyway, hopefully I've got this thing sighted in properly. I've sighted it for 50 yards, so I should need to hold a little high. Time will tell. I think I rocked that block of Clay's World. Let's go see. Wow. Okay, so from the front side, There's nothing super obviously going on except that I split the duct tape top and bottom. There was a lot of energy transfer happened here. Oh yeah. Yeah, I blew the guts of that Kevlar straight through. And there's clay everywhere. There are pieces of copper all over in this. Now again, clay is not meant to be a corollary medium for the human body, but this is just quite the mess here. So the bullet didn't exit the clay block. Again, this clay is a lot denser than human tissue. But look at that cavity. And there's just jacket fragments, and there's part of that blue ballistic tip. I think that I'm just gonna need to buy this block of clay, because if this were to be used for an art project, somebody's gonna slice their hand on a piece of copper. And yeah, that'd be a headline though, wouldn't it? So let me get my handy dandy knife out here, and I'm gonna see what I can find of this bullet. I'm seeing jacket fragments everywhere. There is a ton of Kevlar in the wound, for lack of a better term. This is just a right mess. There's another big piece of jacket. Aha! Aha! That bullet was right at the precipice of exiting this block. And I just want to show you. So you remember that the spear, it just kind of flattened out and it mushroomed, but it didn't expand. This Fiocchi expanded beautifully. So it went through the armor, bloomed just like it was supposed to. And again, I'm not going to say it would have been nice to have some ballistics gel behind it. Maybe that's another video one day when the channel's a little bit more established. I don't know. But, oh man, there's just lead. This is nasty. I'm going to tell you what. If this was a bad guy, there's no question in my mind, this is fatal. Even with that body armor on there, there's just so much trash in the wound track. Kevlar fibers, there's little pieces of copper, even still. There's pieces of the plastic nose cap. I can see why the Fiocchi SST is one of the major hunter's choices in 300 Blackout. That's a mess. That's amazing. Well, let me... I mean, there's some clay here too. Trying to get that out. But, see, I'm going to pivot this down. Alright. Whoop, there we go. This mess of stuff is what I was able to recover without any serious digging. That's just clay. That's just clay. I'm probably gonna cut myself on a piece of this jacket. Every one of these little pieces of clay, or not clay, copper and lead. These are some of those petals that they peeled off. Every one of those was its own little kind of, there was one massive wound channel, and then these were just all over in there. And yeah, that's a bad day. And that's exactly why I went with the 300 blackout pistol for home defense. Now, I set up at 25 yards. I did forget to cover this because we were already, when we were trying to test out for this 3A body panel or side panel and trying to get any kind of data we could use for a primary 3A panel, we were already kind of comparing apples to oranges, and now we just threw in a centerfire rifle caliber, and I guess we added some kumquats into the equation. The reason I went back to 25 yards, number one, that panel wasn't rated for a centerfire rifle anyway, so I was already confident that we were overcoming it. Number two, in the most extreme situation in my home, okay, i.e. when you walk in my back door, you can see through the little back porch area, through the kitchen, through the dining room, through the living room, and you can see the very front wall of my house. I have paced that off, and that's someplace between 20 and 22 yards of total distance from my back door to the front wall. So in the most extreme circumstance that there's no way this would actually happen, but let's say that I was sitting on my sofa in my living room, lovingly caressing my home defense firearm, and somebody kicked in my back door with an AK and started scanning. If they're wearing level 3A body armor, I'm going to get them, not their armor. I really would like to test this again with some level 3, some level 3 plus armor, and just see what that energy transfer would be. But yeah, for now, I definitely stand by my decision to use 300 blackout as my home defense weapon, keeping in mind that ballistically it's similar to 7.62 by 3.9. An AK or an AK pistol would make a great house gun. Obviously 5.56 is going to do some devastating things against a panel like that. So where does that leave us? Well, am I saying not to buy eBay body armor? Not necessarily. Am I saying not to buy tactical scorpion gear? Not necessarily. Okay, again, I was really close, and I was hitting this with some rather hot 9mm anyway, especially from that vicinity. What I am going to tell you is that I would definitely recommend spending the little bit of extra and stepping up to a level 3 or a level 3 plus piece of body armor. And if you can swing it, step up to rigid body armor with or without a ballistic panel. I feel like you're going to have better results out of that because the hard armor is not going to conform around the bullet nearly as much as soft armor. Now, if you were thinking, if I was thinking that this clay was going to still be usable, I was probably wrong. But if you were thinking that maybe that maybe you could get away with, instead of buying a full front plate, you could get away with using a side panel and duct taping it over your vitals. Just let me remind you, part of the damage we saw today was due to how much this smaller panel flexes. A larger panel is going to geometrically reinforce itself to some degree. Maybe not a huge degree, but to some degree it's going to reinforce itself, and so you're not going to have quite as much pull through. So definitely, I'm going to say use a level 3 or a level 3 plus, maybe even a level 4 plate. Level 4 is definitely going to be guaranteed to be a hard plate. 2, use an actual plate carrier. This was my trauma pouch, my trauma kit pouch. I shifted down to one of the smaller ones so that I had this bigger ballistic nylon pouch just to kind of simulate a cheap plate carrier. And I'm sure a cheap plate carrier is even heavier than this. I don't know. I need to get some actual body armor. But see, that's my final point. Get some body armor. Right now, this is September of 2019. The politicians are trying to say that you and I don't need body armor. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the notification bell, because otherwise you're not going to see when I upload new content. Even if there is some delay between them, probably even especially if there's some delay. I don't want you to forget that I exist. I just sometimes need a little bit of time. Hey, if you want to help support the channel, maybe make the full piece of body armor a reality, you can pop on over to Patreon. My Patreon link is down below here. It's clickable in the description. You can stop by and help support the channel. Keep in mind, I don't have enough subscribers yet, at least not currently in 2019, to monetize this channel. And honestly, let's be honest, YouTube is kind of going hard anti-2A. They're probably never going to let me monetize my content. So if you want to support the channel, I appreciate your viewership, but you're going to have to do a little bit more of a direct way of that. If you're watching on Gunstreamer, you can hit that contribute us link down below, and you can do anything from $1 a month to whatever you feel like you want to do to help support Tactical Review. I appreciate it. I appreciate the views, the likes, the share, every bit of it. I've seen some growth here in the last 28 days or so, and that really warms my heart to know that you guys are sharing what I'm putting out there. Hey, thanks for watching. Until next time, shoot straight, stay safe.